Captain Alex Morgan stood in the center of the massive alien station. The walls stretched high above him, covered in strange symbols that glowed with soft blue light. Hundreds of different creatures filled the enormous room. Some walked on 2 legs like humans. Others crawled on 6 legs or floated in the air. The sounds they made filled the air with clicks, whistles, and deep rumbling noises. Alex had never seen anything like this place. 3 years ago, humans thought they were alone in the universe. Now he stood in the middle of the galaxy's biggest meeting place, surrounded by aliens from worlds he could barely imagine. The translator device in his ear buzzed as it tried to make sense of all the different languages. Ambassador Lisa Carter walked beside him, carrying a thick folder of documents. She had spent months preparing for this meeting. Behind them, Commander Jake Sullivan kept his hand close to his weapon, watching the crowd carefully. "Remember," Lisa whispered to Alex, "we want to make friends, not enemies. But we also need to show them we're not weak." Alex nodded. Earth had sent its best people to this meeting. They knew how important it was. The wrong words today could mean war. The right words could bring peace and trade with hundreds of alien worlds. They reached the center of the room where a large circle of seats waited. Each seat was different, made for a different type of alien body. The human seats looked tiny compared to some of the others. Alex sat down and looked around at the creatures staring back at him. The largest group wore dark purple uniforms with gold trim. Their leader was twice as tall as Alex, with gray skin covered in natural armor plates. Sharp teeth filled his mouth when he spoke. These were the Zephyrians, and everyone seemed afraid of them. Lisa stood up and activated her translator. Her voice echoed through the room in dozens of different languages at once. "People of the galaxy," she began, "I am Ambassador Lisa Carter, speaking for all humans on Earth. We come here today in peace. We want to learn from you and share what we know." She opened her folder and pulled out the first document. "We offer you our medical knowledge. Human doctors have found cures for many diseases. We can teach you how to grow more food on your worlds. We want to trade with you and learn about your cultures." Some of the aliens leaned forward with interest. Others whispered among themselves. But the Zephyrian leader just sat back in his chair and made a sound that the translator called laughter. Lisa continued, "As a sign of good faith, we share this information about Earth freely. Here are the locations of our cities, our defensive systems, and our spaceships. We hide nothing from potential friends." The Zephyrian leader stood up. His voice was deep and harsh. "I am High Commander Vex Thul of the Zephyrian Empire. We have watched your species for some time now. You are young and weak. You have no natural weapons, no armor, no special abilities. You come from one small planet that only recently learned to travel between stars." Vex Thul walked around the circle, his heavy footsteps echoing in the chamber. "However, your species shows some promise. You could serve useful purposes within our empire. We might consider giving you protected status. Of course, you would need to follow our rules and accept our guidance." Alex felt his anger rising, but he kept quiet. This was Lisa's meeting. Lisa smiled politely. "We thank you for your offer, High Commander, but humans prefer to govern themselves. We believe all species should be free to choose their own path." The room fell silent. Many aliens looked shocked. No one had ever refused a Zephyrian offer before. Vex Thul's teeth showed in what might have been a smile. "You misunderstand your position, human. This is not a request. The Zephyrian Empire brings order to chaos. We have conquered over 200 star systems. Resistance is not only foolish, it is impossible." Commander Jake Sullivan stood up slowly. His uniform bore the marks of many battles, and scars covered his hands and face. When he spoke, his voice was calm but firm. "High Commander, we appreciate your interest in our world. But I think you should know something about humans before you make any final decisions. Jake looked around the room, meeting the eyes of aliens who had never heard anyone speak to a Zephyrian this way. Humans come from what you might call a death world. Almost everything on Earth tried to kill us at some point. We had no claws, no armor, no poison. So we learned to work together. We learned to think our way out of problems. And yes, we learned to fight when we had no other choice. He paused, letting the translators catch up. We have a saying on Earth: peace through strength. We hope for friendship with all species. But we have also learned that sometimes violence is the only language bullies understand. We sincerely hope it never comes to that between our peoples. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some aliens gasped in shock. Others made sounds of approval. The Zephyrians all stood up at once, their armor plates rattling with anger. Vexthol's voice rose above the noise. How dare you threaten the Zephyrian Empire? Your pathetic species would not last one day against our military might. Lisa raised her hand for silence. Commander Sullivan was not making threats, High Commander. He was simply explaining human nature. We are offering friendship to all who want it, but we will defend ourselves if attacked. Defend yourselves? Vexthol laughed again. With what? Your tiny fleet of primitive ships? Your single world with no allies? High Commander, Lisa said quietly, I urge you to reconsider. Human history is filled with examples of what happens to those who underestimate us. We have survived ice ages, plagues, and wars that nearly destroyed our entire species. Each time we came back stronger. We are offering friendship, but we are prepared to defend ourselves if necessary. The negotiations continued for hours, but it was clear they were going nowhere. The Zephyrians demanded that Earth surrender its military and accept imperial rule. The humans politely but firmly refused every demand. Finally, Vexthul stood up and walked toward the exit. You have 1 month to reconsider our generous offer. After that, the Zephyrian Empire will bring order to your system by force. Your resistance will only make your eventual surrender more painful. Lisa also stood. High Commander, please think carefully about what you are choosing. We came here in peace. We shared our knowledge and offered friendship. You are turning that gift into something that will bring suffering to both our peoples. As the Zephyrian delegation left the chamber, Alex noticed other aliens watching them carefully. Some looked frightened. Others seemed almost hopeful, as if they had never seen anyone stand up to the Zephyrians before. Lieutenant Commander Beth Adams had been monitoring Zephyrian communications during the meeting. She quietly approached Alex and whispered, Captain, I'm picking up increased military chatter. They're moving ships toward our space. Alex nodded grimly. The humans had come hoping for peace, but they were leaving with the promise of war. As they prepared to return to Earth, Alex wondered if they had just signed their species' death warrant, or if they had finally found enemies worthy of humanity's full attention. The warning had been given clearly and with respect. Now it was up to the Zephyrians to decide whether they would heed it or learn why humans had no natural predators. The Galactic Council chamber had never seen so many representatives gathered in one place. Over 800 alien delegates filled the massive hall as Speaker Vorthak called the emergency session to order. The debate had been going on for 3 weeks, and today they would finally vote on the most controversial decision in galactic history. Ambassador Helen Clark sat in the human delegation section, watching as species after species took the floor to voice their opinions about humanity's warship technology. The fear in the chamber was almost thick enough to touch. Every alien government now understood that their military forces had become obsolete overnight. The vote before us today is simple, announced Speaker Vorthak, his crystal body reflecting the chamber lights. Should the Galactic Council ban the construction and deployment of human-class excessive capability vessels anywhere in civilized space? War Master Keltharn was the first to speak. The Zephyrian representative still bore the scars of his people's defeat, and his anger was clear in every word. "The Zephyrian Empire supports this ban completely," Keltharn declared. "These human ships represent a threat to galactic peace and stability. No single species should possess such overwhelming military advantage over all others." Professor Zelith rose gracefully from the Etherian section. "The Etherian Collective agrees. We have studied human technology extensively, and we conclude that it violates the principles of responsible engineering that have maintained galactic harmony for centuries." One by one, the major powers voiced their support for the ban. The Crystalline Dominion, the Altarian Republic, the Vegan Confederacy, and dozens of smaller governments all agreed that human warships were too dangerous to be allowed. Helen finally stood to address the council. "Honorable members, humanity built these ships to defend our colonies from attack. We had no choice but to develop better technology when existing vessels proved inadequate for protection." "Protection?" laughed Commander Thaxon from the Zephyrian military section. "Your single ship destroyed 11 of our cruisers. That is not protection, that is domination." The vote was called, and the result was overwhelming. 800 and 47 species voted to ban human warships. Only 3 votes were cast against the ban: Earth and 2 small trading colonies that depended on human protection. Speaker Vorthak's voice echoed through the silent chamber. "The Galactic Council hereby bans the construction, deployment, or operation of human-class excessive capability vessels in all civilized space. The ship known as USS Devastator is ordered to return to Earth orbit immediately and submit to decommissioning." Helen felt her heart sink as she transmitted the news back to Earth. Captain Lisa Hayes and her crew had won the greatest victory in human history, only to see their ship banned by the very people they had proven humanity could protect. On Earth, Admiral Jack Morrison received the Council's decision in his command center. Around him, displays showed the positions of human colonies throughout the galaxy. Many of those settlements were now defenseless against alien attack, and Earth could no longer send its most powerful ship to help them. "Send the order to Captain Hayes," Jack told his communications officer. "The Devastator is to return to Earth orbit and prepare for decommissioning." But as Jack spoke those words, alarms began sounding throughout the command center. Long-range sensors had detected something at the edge of the galaxy that made the Zephyrian threat look insignificant by comparison. "Sir," called Lieutenant Commander Sarah Fox from the sensor station, "we are receiving automated distress signals from the outer monitoring posts. Long-range scans show massive energy signatures approaching from deep space." Jack hurried to the sensor display and felt his blood turn cold. The readings showed hundreds of massive objects moving toward the galaxy at incredible speed. These were not ships from any known species. They were something far older and more dangerous. "Void Reapers," Jack whispered. "The automated war machines of the extinct architect race. They have been dormant for thousands of years. The Void Reapers were legends throughout the galaxy. Ancient war machines built by a race that had vanished long before any current species had reached the stars. According to the old stories, the Reapers were programmed to activate when they detected advanced technology and eliminate any threats to galactic peace. Now they were waking up, and they were heading straight for the civilized galaxy." In space, Captain Lisa Hayes received 2 messages almost simultaneously. The first was the order to return to Earth and surrender her ship for destruction. The second was a priority alert about the Void Reaper fleet approaching the galaxy. "Captain," said Lieutenant Jake Sullivan from his weapons station, "sensors show over 300 Reaper vessels. Each one is larger than anything in the current galactic fleet. If they reach inhabited space, every world in the galaxy will be destroyed." Lisa looked at her crew and made the decision that would define humanity's future in the galaxy. "Communications. Get me Admiral Morrison on a secure channel." Jack's face appeared on the main screen, and Lisa could see the stress in his eyes. "Admiral, I assume you have seen the sensor reports about the Void Reapers?" "I have, Captain. which is why I am about to give you new orders that officially do not exist." Jack paused and looked directly at Lisa through the screen. "You are ordered to rendezvous with coordinates that I am transmitting now. Your mission is classified at the highest level." The coordinates led Lisa to a hidden asteroid field far from any inhabited system. As the Devastator approached the location, Jake's sensors detected something impossible. "Captain," Jake said in amazement, "I am reading 12 ships. All of them have the same power signature as the Devastator." One by one, 11 other human warships decloaked around the Devastator. Each ship was as large and powerful as Lisa's vessel, but they had been hidden from the galaxy for years. The secret Titan protocol had been more extensive than anyone except Admiral Morrison had known. The lead ship opened a communication channel and Captain Ryan Cooper appeared on screen. "Welcome to the Titan fleet, Captain Hayes. We have been waiting for this day for 3 years." Lisa looked at the 12 most powerful warships ever built by any species and realized that humanity had just revealed its true strength. The galaxy had banned one human ship, not knowing that 11 more were already built and waiting. "The Void Reapers will reach the outer colonies in 6 days, Ryan continued. "The same alien governments that banned our ships will now have to choose between their pride and their survival." As the Titan fleet prepared for the greatest battle in galactic history, Lisa understood that humanity was about to save the very species that had rejected them. The galaxy would learn that when humans built something to protect people, they built it to last, and they built enough to make sure the job got done. Dr. Chris Newman stepped off the transport ship and looked around the massive space station that served as the Galactic Council's research facility. The station was a marvel of alien engineering, with smooth, curved walls that seemed to flow like water and lights that pulsed in rhythm with some unknown pattern. But Chris was not here to admire alien architecture. He was here to explain something that the galaxy's greatest minds could not understand. The Joint Galactic Commission had been meeting for 2 weeks, and they were no closer to solving the mystery of the USS Devastator. Representatives from 12 different species had brought their best scientists and engineers to study the battle recordings and try to figure out how one human ship had accomplished the impossible. "Dr. Newman," called Professor Zeleth, the Etherian lead scientist. "We have been analyzing the data from your vessel for 14 days. The energy readings make no sense according to known physics. How is this possible?" Chris walked to the center of the research chamber, where a holographic display showed the Devastator in 3 dimensions. Every detail of the ship was visible, from the thick armor plating to the massive fusion core deep inside. Alien scientists surrounded the display, pointing at different sections and speaking in their various languages. "Professor Zeleth," Chris began, "I think the problem is that you are trying to understand human engineering using alien logic. Our approach to building ships is completely different from yours." A Zephyrian engineer named Commander Thaxon stepped forward. His people had lost 11 ships to the Devastator, and he wanted answers. "Different how? Metal is metal. Energy is energy. The laws of physics are the same for all species." Chris nodded. "You are right about physics, but you are wrong about engineering philosophy. Let me show you something." The holographic display changed to show 2 different ships side by side. One was a sleek Etherian cruiser with smooth lines and elegant curves. The other was a human destroyer from before the Devastator, blocky and crude-looking by comparison. "Your ship," Chris said, pointing to the Etherian vessel, "is built like a fine watch. Every component is precisely calibrated. Everything works perfectly together in harmony. It is beautiful and efficient." Professor Zeleth looked pleased. "Exactly. We pride ourselves on achieving maximum performance with minimum resources. And that," Chris continued, "is why you could never build something like the Devastator. Your engineering seeks perfection. Human engineering assumes failure." The alien scientists looked confused. A crystalline Dominion researcher named Zerath Minor spoke in a voice like wind chimes. assumes failure? That makes no sense. Why would you design something to fail? Chris smiled and changed the hologram again. Now it showed the inside of the Devastator's power core, with all its backup systems and redundant components clearly visible. We do not design things to fail, Chris explained. We design things to keep working when failure happens. Look at this power core. It has 6 independent fusion chambers. If 3 of them are destroyed, the other 3 can still provide full power to the ship. Commander Thaxton studied the display. But that is wasteful. Why build 6 chambers when one perfect chamber would do the same job? Because perfect things break, Chris answered. In battle, things get damaged, systems fail, crew members get hurt. When that happens, alien ships become helpless. Human ships keep fighting. Commander Steve Baker, who had flown to the station to assist with the demonstrations, activated a new hologram. Steve had commanded destroyers and frigates for 15 years before being assigned to the Devastator project. He understood both alien and human ship design better than almost anyone. Let me show you a practical example, Steve said. The hologram now displayed a simulation of battle damage. This is what happens when a Zephyrian plasma bolt hits an Etherian shield generator. The simulation showed the elegant alien device sparking and shutting down completely when damaged. The ship's shields disappeared, leaving it defenseless. Now watch what happens when the same weapon hits a human shield generator, Steve continued. The human device was 3 times larger and looked much cruder. When the plasma bolt hit, part of the generator was destroyed, but backup systems immediately activated. The shields flickered but remained active. Your device failed completely, Steve pointed out. Ours lost 30% efficiency and kept working. Professor Zalith looked disturbed. But your generator is so much larger and more complex. It uses far more resources and takes up valuable space. Space that saved the ship when battle damage occurred, Chris replied. This is the difference between our philosophies. You build for ideal conditions. We build for the worst possible conditions. The alien researchers spent hours going through more examples. They studied the Devastator's armor, which got stronger when hit instead of weaker. They examined the weapon, systems that could fire continuously without overheating. They analyzed the life support systems that could keep the crew alive even if half the ship was destroyed. Each system violated alien engineering principles in the same way. Where alien technology sought elegance and efficiency, human technology prioritized durability and redundancy. The result was ships that looked crude and wasteful, but could survive damage that would destroy any other vessel in the galaxy. Dr. Vorthana, a senior researcher from the Altarian Republic, finally asked the question that everyone was thinking. Dr. Newman, if humans can build ships like this, why did you not do so before? Your previous vessels were much weaker than this one. Chris looked around the room at all the alien faces watching him. The truth was complicated and would probably frighten them even more. The Devastator represents 20 years of research and development, Chris explained. We studied captured alien technology and learned from every battle we lost. Each defeat taught us something new about how to build better ships. But mainly, Steve added, we learned from human history. For thousands of years, humans fought wars against each other. We learned to build weapons and defenses that could survive the worst possible battles. When we started fighting aliens, we applied those same lessons to space combat. The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. Every other species in the galaxy had achieved peace and unity before reaching the stars. They had learned to build ships for exploration and limited conflicts. Humans had learned to build ships for total war, and they had brought that knowledge with them into space. Commander Thaxton was the first to speak. So you are saying that human ships are superior because humans are more warlike than other species? Not more warlike, Chris corrected. More experienced at war. There is a difference. The Research Commission would spend 3 more weeks studying human technology, but the basic truth was already clear. Humans built ships that other species considered impossible because humans expected wars that other species considered unthinkable. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the crude approach was also the correct approach. The alarm bells rang through the USS Devastator as Captain Lisa Hayes ran to the bridge. She had been sleeping when the emergency call came through from Earth Command. The colony of New Denver was under attack, and 12 Zephyrian cruisers were destroying everything in their path. "Report!" Lisa shouted as she jumped into the captain's chair. The bridge was buzzing with activity as her crew worked at their stations. The main screen showed the colony of New Denver, a small farming world. On the edge of human space, explosions lit up the planet's surface as alien ships fired on the settlements below. Lieutenant Jake Sullivan turned from his weapons station. Jake was only 28 years old, but he was the best gunner in the Earth fleet. His hands moved quickly over the controls as he prepared the Devastator's weapons for battle. 12 Zephyrian cruisers, Captain," Jake reported. "They started attacking the colony 3 hours ago. Our patrol ships tried to help, but the aliens destroyed them. In minutes, we are the only ship close enough to make a difference." Lisa looked at the numbers on her screen. 12 enemy ships against 1 human vessel. The smart thing to do would be to call for backup and wait for more Earth ships to arrive. But the colonists did not have time to wait. Every minute meant more people dying on the planet below. "How long until we reach the battle zone?" Lisa asked. 20 minutes at maximum speed," answered her navigation officer. "Then we go in now," Lisa decided. "Jake, charge all weapons. Amy, get your Marines ready for boarding actions. Tony, I need every bit of power you can give me." Sergeant Amy Carter was already suiting up in the Marine Bay when the captain's orders came through. Amy had led boarding parties against alien ships before, and she knew how dangerous it could be. The Zephyrians were tall, strong creatures with natural armor and sharp claws. But humans had one advantage. They never gave up, even when the odds were impossible. "Listen up, Marines," Amy called to her squad. "We are going into battle against 12 enemy ships. They think humans are weak and stupid. Today we show them they are wrong. Check your weapons and prepare for combat." Down in the engineering section, Tony Rodriguez was pushing the fusion core to its limits. The alien engineers who had examined the Devastator's plans said the reactor would explode if it ran at such high power levels. Tony knew better. He had built backup systems for everything, and the core could handle far more stress than any alien. "Machine. Captain," Tony called over the communication system, "you have full power to all systems. The reactor is running at 140% of normal output, and all backup systems are online. This ship is ready for anything they can throw at us." The Devastator dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the New Denver system. Immediately, the alien ships detected the human vessel and turned to face it. The Zephyrian cruisers were beautiful ships, sleek and silver with elegant curves. They moved like deadly fish through space, fast and graceful. "Incoming transmission from the lead Zephyrian ship," reported the communications officer. "Put it on screen," Lisa ordered. The image of a Zephyrian commander appeared on the main display. The alien was 7 feet tall with blue-gray skin and yellow eyes. It wore ornate battle armor covered in symbols of rank and honor. "Human vessel," the alien said in perfect English. "You are outnumbered 12 to 1. Surrender now and we will allow you to evacuate the colony before we claim this world for the Zephyrian Empire." Lisa stood up and faced the screen. "This is Captain Lisa Hayes of the USS Devastator. You are attacking human colonists and destroying civilian targets. Leave this system immediately or we will stop you." The Zephyrian commander made a sound that might have been laughter. "One primitive human ship against 12 advanced cruisers. You are either very brave or very stupid. We will give you one chance to reconsider." "The only thing I am reconsidering is whether to destroy your ships quickly or slowly," Lisa replied. "Jake, target the lead cruiser and fire when ready." The Devastator's main guns opened fire, sending massive energy beams across space. The alien ship's shields flared as the human weapons hit, but the Zephyrian vessel absorbed the damage and fired back. 11 other alien ships joined the attack, filling space with deadly plasma bolts. The first alien weapons hit the Devastator's hull with tremendous force. The ship shook, and sparks flew from damaged control panels. On any other human vessel, those hits would have caused critical damage. But the Devastator's armor held firm, absorbing the energy and channeling it away from vital systems. Shields, down to 80%, Jake reported. Hull armor is holding strong. No major damage to primary systems. Lisa smiled. The aliens had just learned their first lesson about human engineering. Return fire with all weapons. Show them what this ship can really do. The battle became a test of endurance. The Zephyrian ships were faster and more maneuverable, dancing around the human vessel and firing from multiple angles. But every time their weapons hit the Devastator, the damage was minimal. The human ship's thick armor and redundant systems kept it fighting when any alien vessel would have been destroyed. Hours passed. The alien ships began to show signs of strain. Their weapons were overheating from constant firing, and their energy shields were weakening. The Devastator, meanwhile, seemed to grow stronger as the battle continued. Its armor adapted to the alien weapons, becoming more resistant with each hit. Enemy cruiser number 7 is losing power, Jake reported. Their shields are failing. Target that ship and finish it, Lisa ordered. Amy, prepare your Marines for boarding action on cruiser number 3. Their hull has been breached and they are trying to retreat. The tide of battle turned as the first Zephyrian ship exploded under the Devastator's concentrated fire. The remaining alien vessels found themselves facing a human ship that refused to die no matter how much damage they inflicted. One by one, the elegant alien cruisers were destroyed or disabled by the crude but unstoppable human vessel. When the last Zephyrian ship surrendered after 14 hours of continuous fighting, the Devastator hung in space like a victorious giant. Its hull was scarred and blackened, but all primary systems were still functioning. The ship that the aliens had dismissed as primitive and ugly had proven that human engineering was not just different but superior. Lisa looked at her exhausted crew and smiled. They had just won the most important victory in human history, and the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. The news of the battle at New Denver spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Within hours of the Devastator's victory, every major alien government knew that a single human ship had destroyed 11 Zephyrian cruisers and captured one more. The reaction was immediate and intense. Ambassador Helen Clark had been Earth's representative to the Galactic Council for 8 years. She was used to being ignored or talked down to by the alien diplomats who saw humans as a minor species barely worth notice. But when she walked into the council chambers 3 days after the battle, everything was different. The room was packed with representatives from dozens of alien races, and they were all staring at her. Ambassador Clark, called the Speaker of the Council, a tall crystal being known as Vorthak the Clear. The Galactic Council demands an immediate explanation for the events at New Denver. How did one human vessel defeat an entire Zephyrian battle? Group? Helen stood at the speaker's podium and looked out at the assembled aliens. She could see fear in their alien faces, though they tried to hide it behind anger and confusion. For the first time since joining the galactic community, humanity had the attention of every major power. Honorable members of the council, Helen began. The USS Devastator acted in defense of human colonists who were under attack. Our ship fought bravely against overwhelming odds and achieved victory through superior tactics and engineering. The Zephyrian representative, War Master Keltharn, stood up from his seat. He was even taller than the commander who had faced Captain Hayes, and his battle scars showed he was a veteran of many conflicts. His voice shook with rage as he spoke. Superior engineering? Keltharn roared. Impossible! The Zephyrian Empire has been building warships for 3,000 years. Our cruisers are the finest vessels in the galaxy. No primitive human ship could defeat them in fair combat. Yet one did, Helen replied calmly. Perhaps your definition of finest needs to be reconsidered. The chamber erupted in angry voices as representatives from different species shouted over each other. The elegant Etherian delegate, Speaker Lysara, raised her hand for silence. The Etherians were known throughout the galaxy for their advanced technology and peaceful nature. When Lysara spoke, others usually listened. Ambassador Clark, Lysara said in her musical voice, the Etherian Collective has studied the battle. Recordings. The power output readings from your vessel are beyond what we consider safe or possible. Our scientists calculate that any ship generating such energy levels should have destroyed itself within minutes. Helen smiled. Human engineers have a different approach to safety limits than other species. We build our ships to exceed normal parameters when necessary. Meanwhile, on Earth, Captain Lisa Hayes was sitting in a debriefing room answering questions from a panel of admirals and scientists. The room was filled with screens showing technical data from the Devastator's battle systems. Every weapon shot, every system activation, and every damage report was being analyzed in detail. Captain Hayes, asked Admiral Morrison, can you explain how your ship maintained full combat effectiveness for 14 hours of continuous battle? Our previous vessels would have been forced to retreat after 2 hours of such intense fighting. Lisa looked at the data on the screens around her. The numbers told an incredible story. The Devastator had taken damage that would have crippled any other Earth ship, yet all major systems had continued to function normally. Sir, Lisa replied, Chief Engineer Rodriguez designed every system on the ship with multiple backups. When the main power conduits were damaged, the secondary lines took over automatically. When the armor plating was breached, the self-repair systems sealed the holes and reinforced the damaged sections. The ship was built to keep fighting even when everything went wrong. Back at the Galactic Council, the debate was becoming more heated. Representatives from over 50 alien species had gathered to discuss what they were calling the human problem. Fear was spreading through the galactic community as military analysts realized what the Devastator's victory meant for the balance of power. The Crystalline Dominion's representative, a being made of living minerals called Zerath Prime, spoke in a voice like breaking glass. The readings from this battle suggest that human military technology has advanced far beyond what we previously believed possible. If they can build one such vessel, they can build many more. Exactly our concern, agreed the Altarian delegate. The Altarian Republic has maintained peace through careful balance of military forces. If humans can construct ships that outclass all existing vessels, this balance is destroyed. Helen tried to calm the rising panic. Members of the Council, humanity seeks only to defend itself and its colonies. We have no aggressive intentions toward any galactic government. But her words seemed to make things worse. War Master Keltharn stepped forward again, his claws clicking on the chamber floor. No aggressive intentions? He snarled. Your ship destroyed 11 of our finest cruisers with ease. If this is what humans call defensive capability, what would you call aggressive? Every military force in the galaxy is now obsolete compared to this single human vessel. The truth of his words sent a chill through the chamber. For centuries, the galactic community had maintained stability through a careful balance of military power. No single species had ships significantly better than the others. The Devastator changed everything. Dr. Patricia Wells, who had traveled from Earth to provide technical testimony, stood at the science panel. As head of Earth's Science Council, she had overseen much of the research that went into the Devastator's design. Honorable Council members, Patricia said, I believe there is a fundamental misunderstanding about human engineering philosophy. We do not build our ships to be superior to yours. We build them to survive in conditions that would destroy other vessels. And what is the difference? Asked Lysara. The difference is purpose, Patricia replied. Your ships are built for efficiency and elegance. They perform perfectly under ideal conditions. Human ships are built for war. They are designed to function when everything goes wrong, when half the systems are destroyed, when the crew is exhausted, and the situation is hopeless. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The aliens had been building ships for peaceful exploration and limited conflicts. Humans had been building ships for total war. Speaker Vorthak's crystal body reflected the chamber lights as he spoke. The Council recognizes that this situation requires careful consideration. We call for a full investigation into human military capabilities and the technology demonstrated by this vessel. Helen knew that humanity stood at a crossroads. The galaxy's attention was focused on them for the first time, but it was attention mixed with fear and suspicion. The Devastator's victory had proven human strength, but it had also made humanity a threat that other species could not ignore. The investigation would determine whether humans would be welcomed as equals in the galactic community or banned as a dangerous influence on galactic peace.